Hi everyone, how's everybody doing? Hope you all are smelling great. Hope you are doing great. Hope you are in the best of health. So you saw the thumbnail, you click on it, you know what we talk about here. We talk about fragrances. We You love to talk about fragrances, and I like to talk about fragrances. So that's why you click on the thumbnail. So that's why I went there. So now for a reason about a point. So at this point we'll be talking about fragrance concentration. So the other day I was explaining to somebody the difference between EDT and EDP. She was actually buying a fragrance from me, and I was explaining to her that the EDP rather, would last longer and is more potent. So she was confused. So this is my explanation. A lot of people would like to know the same thing, so here I am explaining. And there's probably a ton of YouTube videos explaining this same topic, but I'm making one anyway. So in perfumery, in different fragrances, there are various percentage of fragrance oils actually in the fragrance. So you have a particular fragrance with the least amount of fragrance oils, and you have one with the most fragrance oils. So there are 5 different categories of fragrance concentration. There is number 1, there is eau fraiche, EAUFRAICHE. These are all French terms. So a lot of these terms were coined back in probably the 13th or the 12th century in France, because France is the mecca of perfumery, apparently, so it seems. So you have eau fraiche number 1, you have eau de cologne number 2, you have eau de toilette number 3, and you have eau de parfum number 4, and you have extrait de parfum, which is number 5. So sometimes when I was explaining to the person that this is a eau de toilette, she was like, toilet, and she doesn't want anything to do with toilets. And I'm like explaining to her that, look here, I don't really toilet, like when you got a toilet, These terms were coined in France back in the 12th and 13th centuries, as I said before. And the etymology of the word toilette, it's not pronounced toilet, it's toilette, because the French pronounce OI as a wa. Toilette. So back in those days, the word toilette means to present oneself, or to dress oneself, or to prepare oneself for a particular occasion. Sorry, excuse me. So in that case, it's that toilet. It's not toilet like when you have a toilet. No. So yes, there is eau fraiche, which is 1 to 3% of perfume oils. There is the second one, eau de cologne, with 2 to 6% of fragrance oils. There is eau de toilette with 5 to 15%, and eau de parfum with 15 to 20% of potent fragrance oils. And in the extrait de parfum, it has 15 to 40%. And sometimes extrait de parfum can be referred to just parfum or extrait de parfum. It's the same. So the extrait de parfum would be the most concentrated fragrance. So most Alexandria fragrances, most of their fragrances are extrait de parfum, and certain top end houses, most of them are extrait de parfum. So those are the 5 basic fragrance concentration. However, certain houses would make a particular fragrance and probably call it a cologne, and it's really not a cologne. For example, Creed, that very famous fragrance, Creed released a flanker of Creed's Aventus and call it Creed Aventus Cologne. But really, it's not a cologne, it's an eau de parfum. It's an eau de parfum concentration. But sometimes the perfumer or the manufacturer give it a name like cologne to elicit a certain nostalgic notion of a particular period back in a particular time to capture a particular moment, because normally colognes are normally lighter than the eau de parfum. The eau de cologne is lighter, so the eau de cologne probably is trying to make a lighter version, because at some point some people prefer lighter fragrances than strong fragrances. And in Versace Mano Fraiche, the Versace Mano Fraiche fragrance is actually not an eau fraiche. It's an EDT, but they call it eau fraiche in order to, as I say, invoke a certain notion, a certain nostalgia of a particular era of just to give a lighter feel of the current fragrance that the flanker is about. So, as I said before, the five main fragrance concentration are eau fraiche, eau de cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, and extrait de parfum. But one thing I notice is that in eau fraiche, there's 1 to 3% percent of potent fragrance oils, and in eau de cologne there's 2 to 6%. So if a particular fragrance has 3%, what it is it an eau fraiche or an eau de cologne? So what I gathered is that there can be certain gray areas at some point. There is no hard and fast, there's no black and white rule when it comes to the threshold that divides one particular fragrance from the other. So the eau fraiche with 1 to 3%, and the eau de cologne with 2 to 6%. So if something is 3%, then what is it? So when it comes to certain category, there's no hard and fast rule. It's more like a general rule, because sometimes you would have eau de toilettes that perform better than the eau de parfum, and sometimes you have eau de parfum that performs better than the extrait de parfum. It's all about sometimes the definitive line that distinguish one from the other. Sometimes there's a gray area and there's really no definitive particular fragrance. So, but the numbers that I give are the general numbers. So yeah, that's my take on this fragrance concentration. And if you want to see more of these videos, just do what you need to do with the subscribe button, do what you need to do with the like button, and let the YouTube algorithm push my videos further. So until then, keep smelling great. I will see you on the next time around. And there are 2 videos to my left and my right. Just you can click on any one of those and watch. Keep smelling great. And remember to exercise. Remember to eat right. Remember to do aerobics, weightlifting. Just do some exercise, man. Yeah. Take care of yourself and keep on smelling great. Peace. I'm out.